You're wanting to build a new gaming PC, but there are so many motherboard options out there, it could be a little overwhelming. What kinds of features should you look for, and what's the right board for your price category? I was going to make this video a few weeks ago, but I decided to wait and see what kinds of deals might pop up towards the end of the year. Now, whether you go with AMD or Intel, I've got a recommendation for you, starting right now. Hey YouTube, I'm Danny, welcome to the channel. I spent tons of time researching and sorting through all different motherboard types from price category to feature sets to bring you the best deals for this holiday season. If this type of video is the sort of thing you enjoy watching, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you'll be notified when we release more content. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Think you can help me out? Okay, let's get started. First, I want to talk about chipset. You need to make sure that the CPU that you choose matches the motherboard socket and that the chipset supports it. I made an easy to read chart to make things less complicated. AMD's last generation, which is Ryzen 5000, consists of the A520, B550, and X570 series motherboards. My suggestion for this motherboard choice is either B550 or X570. You're constantly able to find deals on both, and these parts are still being sold new. However, deals are beginning to dry up, so make sure you don't overpay because there's another processor family being sold right alongside of this. Ryzen 7000 is the newest AMD CPUs. The motherboard chipsets they offer are A620, B650, B650E, X670, and X670E. The E stands for extreme in case you were curious. But I don't recommend the E model for either board. My go-tos are the B650 and X670 motherboards. Something to keep in mind is AMD is putting forth their best deals for their 600 series chipsets this holiday season. Of course, I can't forget about Intel. Their last generation motherboards are the H610, B660, H670, Q670, and Z690. These support 12th, 13th, and now 14th gen CPUs. But you'll need to update the BIOS as the 12th gen processors are most likely your only one with compatibility out of the box. Intel's current generation boards consist of B760, H770, and Z790. I'm glad they slimmed down the list. These boards support the same CPUs that 600 series do. I recommend the same choices for both generations of motherboards, either the B660 or 670 and the Z690 or 790. If you're more on a budget, B series is for you. If money is no object, Z series is the way to go. So what are some features that you might want to look for when purchasing a motherboard? CPU overclocking used to be a big feature that people looked out for, but nowadays, manufacturers are pushing the processor's performance and temperature limits to the max out of the box. Intel's XMP and AMD's Expo are things you'll want to look out for, and they are supported on all the motherboards I'll be recommending today. Another feature that should be on your list is PCI connectivity and the speeds at which they run. Some motherboards only offer 1 or 2 M.2 slots. If you want a lot of storage options, look out for more of these. Toolless M.2 slots is something recently added to many motherboards. Another cool feature you might want is a PCI slot GPU release trigger. It makes removing your GPU much easier. Some more features you might be interested in is increased rear panel I/O, Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, and a BIOS flashback button. This is a great feature if you want to upgrade your CPU later. There's really 4 options when it comes to motherboard sizes. You've got ATX, Micro ATX, Mini ITX, and eATX size motherboards. ATX is the most standard size board, and a majority of PC cases are designed for this style. Micro ATX has a shorter height but still retains the width of an ATX board. You can sometimes find these much cheaper than their ATX counterparts. Mini ITX is designed for small form factor PCs, often much more expensive since they require more R&D to manufacture and there's not quite as many options as something like ATX. eATX motherboards are huge. They require a specialized case layout and they're usually very expensive. Some can even get over $1,000 US. So how do you avoid overpaying for a motherboard? Listen to my recommendations, of course. I've got this whole list broken down by price category, and I'll be making both AMD and Intel recommendations. Most of these are ATX or micro ATX motherboards. ITX and eATX boards are, like I said, limited and usually quite expensive. These are entry-level motherboards with limited features, but they're the cheapest ones you can get, and they'll get the job done. I'm going to use Newegg today because they have some of the best deals here in the US right now. AMD is up first. This is the ASRock B550 Phantom Gaming 4 AC. Newegg has it on sale for $84.99. It's a full-sized ATX motherboard offering 4 RAM slots, built-in Wi-Fi, and sports AMD's newest B550 series chipset. That means it supports up to Ryzen 5000 series processors, and it also uses DDR4 memory, which helps keep your overall system cost down. If you're wanting to build an all-white PC, but you're on a budget, fear not. ASRock has you covered with the B550M Pro SE, and it's currently priced at $74.99. Remember, it's shorter than a standard ATX one. Just keep that in mind when shopping, because it can look silly having a small motherboard in a giant case. The B550 Pro SE has an all-white PCB, which isn't super common, and the fact that it comes in at $75 right now is pretty sweet. This motherboard doesn't have built-in Wi-Fi, but it does offer a built-in I/O shield, 4 RAM slots, and supports PCI 4.0 for the top GPU and M.2 slot. That's a lot of great features for under $100. But if you want something even cheaper, check this next one out. The ASRock B450M AC R2.0 only costs $59.99. Now keep in mind, this is only B450 versus the B550 chipsets on the other two boards. It also loses support for PCI 4.0 and will most likely require a BIOS update for Ryzen 5000 to work. If you're looking for something in this price range, I recommend Ryzen 3000 series CPUs just to ensure easy compatibility. Of course, I can't forget Intel. They're usually more expensive than AMD, and the under $100 category shows this right away. The first motherboard I recommend is the GIGABYTE B660M DS3H DDR4. It costs $99.99. It is on sale, and it just barely makes the cut. This can support 12th, 13th, and 14th generation Intel CPUs. 14th gen will need a BIOS update, by the way. Excellent sales are going on right now for 12th gen CPUs on Newegg and Amazon, in case you want to go with Intel. Now, if you want to save a few bucks, the ASRock B660M PRO RS is $89.99. It doesn't have any Wi-Fi on this one either, but it supports all the CPUs mentioned above, with 12th gen being the only one that won't need a BIOS update. I'd stick with those CPUs in this price range anyway. This pricing tier is where most people shop, and they offer a lot of great features for your money. Things like built-in I/O shields and Wi-Fi, front panel USB, more fan headers, and even toolless M.2 are some of the key features offered. At this price point, AM5 is a choice you're going to want to consider. The ASRock B650 Pro RS Wi-Fi AM5 is only $124.99 right now. It's another micro ATX size motherboard, but it offers a lot for such a good price. You get DDR5 memory, a built-in I/O shield, Wi-Fi 6E, PCI Gen 5, a Type-C front panel connector, and an excellent upgrade path with AM5, all for $125. This might be the best value option I showed today. GIGABYTE's B650 Gaming X AX is an excellent alternative if you're looking for a motherboard with similar features to the ASRock one, but in a full ATX size. This costs $159.99, which is 20% off its original price. I picked this one up for myself for an upcoming build. If you want to know how it turns out, come check us out over on Twitter. I'm constantly posting good deals on PC parts or things I'm just working on here in the studio. Intel's offerings in this price tier look a little dated compared to what you can get with AMD. The ASUS Tough Gaming Z690 Plus Wi-Fi is $149.99, but it's a generation older than AMD's AM5, and it comes in at the same price point. I've used this motherboard quite a few times here on the channel in builds and testing, and it's worked very well. The fact that it's on sale right now is just a bonus. MSI's MPG Z690 Force Wi-Fi DDR5 is also on sale for $189.99. It's a white accented motherboard and it looks really nice. It's got a lot of I/O on the back, built-in I/O shield, lots of M.2 covers. It has a USB-C front panel connector, built-in Wi-Fi 6, I mean, they offer so many features with this motherboard. If you're thinking about building a white-themed PC and your budget for a motherboard is right around $200, you can't go wrong with this. It's $180 off. This price category is starting to get into some high-end features. Things like more USB ports, additional M.2 cooling, better power delivery, and on some motherboards, a GPU release button, which is a nice feature if you've never used it. Higher-end boards start to make sense in this price tier. However, I don't recommend you spend more on your motherboard than you do on your CPU. Let's see what kind of deals AMD has to offer. Honestly, if you want to go top tier, the MSI MAG X670E Tomahawk Wi-Fi should definitely be on your list. This one comes in at $259.99. That's $40 off its MSRP. I've been using the Tomahawk motherboards from MSI since the 300 series days. These things are awesome and offer a lot of features for your money. I know I said to avoid X670E series chipsets, but the price is so good, you shouldn't pass it up. They give you a built-in I/O shield with Wi-Fi, lots of M.2 heat sinks, PCI 5.0 support, and tons of PWM fan headers. It's just an all-around solid motherboard. Next up is the ASUS ROG STRIX B650EF Gaming Wi-Fi for $239.99. ASUS makes very high-quality products, and you usually have to pay a premium for this, or as some gamers say, the ROG tax. This thing looks amazing, and it really has that gamer vibe. Plus, it includes all the features you could want, even that cool GPU release button I was talking about. I want to include one more AMD board before moving on to Intel, and that's the GIGABYTE B650i AORUS Ultra. It costs $239.99, and it has everything offered on the full-size version, just mini. Not too bad if you ask me, so it makes the recommendation, especially if you're looking for an ITX size motherboard. Intel has some good offerings in the $200 to $300 category as well. I was going to recommend a Z790 series motherboard from ASUS, but this deal is too good to pass up. The ROG Maximus Z690 Hero, which is originally $600, is now selling for $249.99. That's over 50% off. I mean, look at this thing. Top tier quality, every feature you could want, plenty of I/O, fast I/O at that, and it even comes with a Hyper M.2 card fitting up to 2 extra drives. ASUS, if you're watching, I need this. But if you want the newest option for Intel, you've got to go with Z790. GIGABYTE has you covered with the Z790 AORUS Elite AX at $239.99. It has lots of M.2 support, PCI 5.0, DDR5 memory, Wi-Fi 6E, and it supports 12th, 13th, and 14th gen Intel CPUs. This is an excellent option if you want the newest chipset. Now at over $300, you're on your own. I was going to show you some options, but I'd say just stick with under $300. Anything over that and you're really just wasting money when you could be spending it on a CPU or GPU upgrade. Unless you have a very specific use case for your PC or you'll be making money with it, I don't recommend you spend that much on a motherboard. These are for the ultra high-end enthusiast. This is where eATX boards start to come into play. They offer tons of I/O and even liquid cooling for the MOSFETs and VRMs. For gaming PCs, this is kind of overkill. And if you're shopping in this price category, you most likely won't take my advice anyway. So which motherboard or pricing category interests you the most? Let me know down in the comments what you're building or thinking about putting together. Now that I look back on this video, it's kind of a motherboard wish list for me. This is by no means an end-all be-all list for motherboards that you should be buying for your next gaming rig. This is simply my recommendations based on my own research and experience, a list I hope will help one of you narrow down your search. And I know that many of you probably don't shop for PC parts as much as I do. So why not let me make it easier on you and save you some time or money in the process? And if this video wasn't enough for you and you want more PC content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below and come back for more videos. Or you can click on these next because I'm out of time. As I always say, I'm Danny with Danny's Tech Channel, and I'll see you in the next one.